We've all heard about the Titanic, the unsinkable ship that tragically sank in 1912. While the spotlight often shines on the ship and its passengers, there's a less explored narrative that deserves our attention: Captain Edward John Smith's family. Today, we delve into the life of Helen Melville Smith, affectionately called Mel, the daughter of Captain Smith. Through her eyes, we get a glimpse of the rippling effects of the Titanic tragedy and the emotional highs and lows that defined a family forever changed. But before we get into it, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you want to get notified every time I upload a new video, click the bell icon as well. It really helps me out and I appreciate it a lot. All right, let's get started. We all know about the horrible night in 1912 when the Titanic hit an iceberg and sank, taking the lives of around 1,500 people, including Captain Edward John Smith. But let's talk about the captain's daughter, Helen Melville Smith, often called Mel. You see, her life was filled with ups and downs, and that terrible event was just the start. Captain Smith was married to a woman named Sarah Eleanor Smith. They had just one child, Mel. After the Titanic sank, Mel's life was full of other hard times too. In 1931, her mom, Sarah, died in a car accident while walking on the street. Mel also had to go through the pain of losing two husbands and her only two children before she herself passed away in 1973 at the age of 75. But let's step back for a moment to a happier day in July 1914. On this sunny day, Mel was back in England, her home country. She was there for a special reason: to reveal a new statue honoring her dad, who was seen as a hero for how he acted when the Titanic was sinking. She was just a teenager at the time, and you could feel the emotion in her voice as she said, "I hereby declare this statue unveiled." The statue was a big bronze figure showing a sailor with a beard and crossed arms. It was a touching moment, a daughter honoring her father who couldn't be there with her. By then, people saw Captain Smith as a hero for how he acted on that fateful night a bit over 2 years before. And there, standing in front of a crowd, Mel got to be a part of that legacy, unveiling a statue that would remind people of her father's bravery. It was a bright spot in a life that would later be filled with much sorrow. You might know Captain Edward Smith was often away sailing the ocean. But did you know he almost missed the birth of his only child? Yeah, when his wife Eleanor was expecting, he was busy going back and forth across the Atlantic Ocean on another ship, the RMS Majestic. Good thing he made it back just in time to see Helen Melville Smith, or Mel, come into the world in Liverpool. He loved Mel so much and gave her cute nicknames like Babs and Gilly. Even when he was miles away at sea, he kept in touch. He once sent her a letter with a little drawing of a bird saying he couldn't catch a bunny to send her, so he sent this bird sketch instead. How adorable is that? Then came the year 1912. Mel was almost 14 and her dad got the job to command a new ship, the Titanic. People said it couldn't sink, but we know it did. And sadly, Mel never got to see her dad again after that. There are different stories about what happened to Captain Smith that night. One person who made it out alive said they saw him get washed off the ship, swim back, and then go down with the Titanic. Even as a young teen, Mel had to face the tough reality that her dad wasn't coming back. Her life took many more turns, but this moment, losing her father, was something that defined her forever. You have to wonder, every time she looked at the letters and drawings her dad sent her, what went through her mind? Probably a mix of love, sadness, and a longing for what could have been. Mel had a tough life, and losing her dad when she was just a young teen was only the start. In 1931, she faced another blow. Her mom, who never married again after Captain Smith died, got hit by a car while crossing a wet street in London. She had an umbrella that blocked her view and was almost blind in one eye. Sadly, she passed away 2 days later. By that point, Mel had already said goodbye to 2 husbands. The first one, Captain John Gilbertson, died from a tropical disease. The next, Sidney Russell Cook, died in a shocking way. He was cleaning a rifle, It went off by accident, and that was it. Mel and their twins, Simon and Priscilla, weren't even home when it happened. They were out in the country, and speaking of the twins, they didn't live long lives either. Simon died young while fighting in World War II. He was just 20. Priscilla also died young from polio complications a few years later. By the time Mel passed away, she was the last one left. Her family's story had become part of the Titanic legacy through movies and books. One movie made in 1958 called A Night to Remember even had an actor that Mel thought did a good job playing her dad. You can imagine how Mel felt about all this. Her life was a roller coaster of ups and downs. Through it all, she remained tied to that fateful night in 1912 when the Titanic sank. Even after she was gone, the Titanic story kept getting told and retold, with Mel's dad always in it. And Mel, she left this world without any family left, but her story and her dad's story continue to live on. It's clear that the legacy of the Titanic is more than just a tale of a ship sinking. It's a story that had deep, lasting impacts on the families left behind. Mel's life was filled with hardships and tragedies, all set against the backdrop of the Titanic's ill-fated voyage. But through it all, her story and her father's story continue to captivate us, reminding us that the echoes of history touch lives in ways we can't fully comprehend. From statues and letters to movies and books, the story of the Smith family is a touching chapter in the broader Titanic narrative, one that will continue to live on in the hearts and minds of those who hear it. If you like what I do in here, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you have some anime that you'd like me to cover, write it down in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.